Welcome, dear listener, and thank you for choosing to spend this quiet time with us. Tonight, we invite you to journey to a place of profound tranquility in our story, where stillness weaves the starlight. If you find solace and rest within this tale, we hope you'll consider liking this recording and subscribing to our channel for more peaceful escapes like this one. Before we venture to the Starfall Observatory, we'll begin with a gentle breathing guidance to help settle your mind and body, preparing you for deep relaxation. Should you wish to drift directly into the story, please feel free to use the chapter timestamps provided in the description below. Please find a position that feels truly comfortable for you now. Allow yourself to settle deeply into your bed or chair, feeling the gentle support beneath you. Adjust your pillow, perhaps draw your blanket a little closer, creating a warm, safe haven just for you. This time is yours, a quiet space to let the edges of the day soften and blur. Let go of any lingering thoughts or concerns, allowing them to drift away like clouds across a vast night sky. Prepare to receive the quiet wonder of the observatory, where silence itself holds a gentle magic. Let us take a slow, easeful breath together now. Inhale softly through your nose, feeling the cool air fill your lungs gently without effort. And now, exhale slowly through your mouth with a quiet sigh, releasing the breath completely. Feel your shoulders soften and drop with the out-breath. Let a sense of comfortable weight settle into your limbs. With each gentle inhale, imagine drawing in the calm, clear air of the mountaintop. With each exhale, feel any remaining tension melting away, sinking harmlessly into the quiet darkness around you. Picture the vast, starry expanse above the observatory, the pinpricks of light impossibly distant, yet shimmering with peace. If your thoughts begin to wander, simply notice them without judgment, like watching distant stars slowly wheel across the sky. Gently guide your attention back to the sensation of your breath or the sound of my voice. There is nothing you need to do, nothing to achieve. Simply rest. Feel the stillness begin to gather around you, a comforting presence, warm and secure. Imagine the cool, smooth stone of the observatory beneath your hands, grounding you in this peaceful moment. Allow your body to grow heavy, soft, and completely at ease, ready for our story. Let the profound quiet of Starfall envelop you. As you listen, allow the gentle descriptions and the soft unfolding of the tale to guide you towards rest. Feel the possibility of peace weaving itself around you, much like the starlight threads in our story. Now let us begin our journey to the tranquil heights, where stillness weaves the starlight. Chapter 1: Arrival at Starfall. The final ascent to the Starfall Observatory was less a climb and more a slow, deliberate shedding of the world below. Cassian, wrapped in a thick woolen cloak against the high-altitude chill, guided the sure-footed mountain pony along the narrow, winding path. The air grew thinner, cleaner, scented with the sharp tang of unseen pines clinging to lower slopes and the mineral scent of ancient rock. Below, the valleys swam in a hazy blue distance. The sounds of civilization, the cartwheels, the voices, the distant clangor of the city he'd left behind, fading first to murmurs, then to memory, and finally, blessedly, to nothing at all. He looked up. The sky, even in the late afternoon, was a deeper, more impossible blue than he had ever witnessed. It seemed vast, expectant, holding its breath. The silence pressed in, not unpleasantly, but like a soft, heavy blanket settling over his shoulders. It was a quiet so profound it felt like a presence, a vast, sleeping entity residing among the peaks. His own breathing, the pony's steady snorts, the crunch of hooves on the gravel path, these small sounds seemed amplified, yet simultaneously absorbed by the immense stillness. The observatory finally came into view, nestled on a small plateau just below the highest summit. It was not imposing, but rather seemed to have grown from the mountain itself. Built of large blocks of dark, smooth stone, it reflected the fading sunlight with a soft obsidian gleam. Two modest domes capped the main structure, their copper surfaces weathered to a pale verdigris. There were no sharp angles. The building seemed designed to let the wind flow around it with a gentle sigh rather than a whistle. A single sturdy wooden door, dark and unadorned, marked the entrance. Dismounting, Cassian felt a curious lightness, despite the weariness of his journey. He tied the pony's reins loosely to a weathered hitching post near a small, sheltered lean-to. The air was cold, biting at his exposed cheeks, but invigorating. He breathed deeply, tasting the purity of it, feeling it cleanse the dust of travel and worry from his lungs. He approached the door, his footsteps echoing slightly on the stone threshold, and hesitated for a moment, listening. Only the wind, a low, soft whisper around the domes, answered him. He raised a hand and knocked gently. The door opened not with a creak, but with a smooth, near-silent swing inwards. A figure stood framed in the warm, dim light from within. It was a woman, Zella, her face etched with the fine lines of time and kindness, her eyes holding the calm depth of the night sky she studied. She wore simple, practical robes of a deep gray, and her silver hair was neatly tied back. She offered a small, welcoming smile that didn't disturb the profound peace that seemed to emanate from her. "Cassian," she said, her voice soft yet clear in the stillness. "Welcome to Starfall. Your journey was untroubled, I hope." He nodded, finding his own voice felt rough, unused. "Yes, Keeper Zella. Thank you. It was quiet." She understood the weight he placed on that word. She stepped back, gesturing him inside. The interior was simple, practical, yet undeniably comforting. Smooth stone walls curved gently, catching the low light from softly glowing panels set high near the ceiling. The air within was warmer, carrying the faint, clean scent of polished wood and something else, perhaps the dry, mineral smell of the stone itself. Zella led him down a short corridor, their footsteps making almost no sound on the polished floor. "Your quarters are here," she indicated a simple wooden door. "Rest now. The mountain asks for acclimatization, and the stars ask for patience." The room was small but perfect. A comfortable-looking bed covered with thick quilts, a sturdy wooden desk and chair, a small bookshelf, and a window looking out not onto landscape, but directly upwards, framing a perfect square of the darkening sky. Left alone, Cassian sank onto the edge of the bed, the weariness washing over him. He removed his cloak, feeling the gentle warmth of the room seep into his chilled bones. He looked out the window. Already the first stars were beginning to prick the deep indigo canvas. Down below in the city, one rarely saw more than a handful, drowned out by the perpetual glow of lamps and activity. Here, it seemed, the darkness was deeper, the stars brighter, closer. He felt a profound sense of release, a loosening knot in his chest. He listened. The silence was still there, inside the observatory as much as outside, a soft, encompassing presence. He lay back on the quilts, feeling their comforting weight, and closed his eyes, the image of those impossibly bright stars lingering behind his eyelids as exhaustion finally claimed him. Chapter 2. The Quiet Observation. Cassian's first days at Starfall passed in a gentle rhythm dictated by the sun, the stars, and the profound quiet. He slept deeply, dreamlessly, awakening each morning to the soft, indirect light filtering through his ceiling window. The silence, which had initially felt almost loud in its intensity, began to feel natural, comforting. It was like sinking into a cool bath, the initial shock giving way to a soothing embrace. He found his thoughts, usually a frantic, buzzing hive of anxieties and academic pressures, slowing down, becoming clearer, less insistent. He took his simple meals in a small communal dining area, often alone, sometimes with Zella. She spoke little, but her presence was calming. She moved with an unhurried grace, whether pouring tea from a simple ceramic pot or adjusting the wick of an oil lamp. Her movements were economical, precise, generating almost no sound. Watching her was like observing a slow, mindful dance, a testament to years lived in harmony with the stillness of the place. He found himself unconsciously mirroring her quietude, pouring his own water slowly, setting his cup down gently. Much of his time was spent simply sitting, sometimes in his room, watching the clouds drift across his square of sky. Sometimes in a comfortable, worn armchair in the small library, filled with ancient astronomical charts and books bound in soft, yielding leather that smelled faintly of dust and time. But most often he found himself drawn to the main observation dome. It was a vast circular room, the ceiling a retractable metal shield that opened onto the heavens. During the day, it remained closed, bathing the room in a soft, dim light. At night, Zella would operate the quiet mechanisms, and the dome would glide open, revealing the breathtaking celestial panorama. He would sit there for hours, wrapped in a blanket against the night's chill, simply looking up. The sheer scale of the cosmos was humbling, dizzying, yet strangely comforting. The distant stars, the soft glow of nebulae, the slow, majestic procession of constellations across the black velvet, it put his own worries into a quiet perspective. They seemed small, distant, less significant under the gaze of eternity. He felt the tension in his shoulders, a knot he hadn't even realized he was carrying, begin to soften and release. His jaw, usually clenched tight, felt looser. It was during one of these long, silent nights in the dome that he first noticed them properly. Not just the stars, but something else. Tiny, shimmering motes of light, fainter than the faintest star, seemed to dance in the air just beyond the reach of the telescope lenses. They were like dust motes caught in a sunbeam, but infused with a soft, internal luminescence. They drifted lazily, appearing and disappearing with no discernible pattern. He blinked, wondering if it was just a trick of tired eyes or the thin air. He watched Zella as she moved among the instruments. Her focus was absolute, yet relaxed. She would adjust a lens with micrometric precision, make notations in a large logbook with a graphite pencil that whispered across the page, or simply stand, looking upwards with an expression of serene concentration. She seemed utterly at peace, a part of the vast, silent mechanism of the observatory and the cosmos itself. Her stillness was infectious. One evening, as the silence in the dome felt particularly deep, the air cold and diamond clear, the motes seemed brighter, more numerous. They swirled gently like phosphorescence in a midnight sea. He held his breath, watching, fascinated. It felt like the quiet itself was shimmering, taking visible form. He leaned forward slightly, the worn fabric of his sleeve brushing against the cool metal of the telescope mount. The sound, small as it was, seemed to ripple through the stillness, and the motes instantly faded, becoming barely perceptible once more. He settled back, letting his breath out slowly. He looked over at Zella. She hadn't seemed to notice his small movement, her attention fixed on a particular star cluster through the main eyepiece. But there was a subtle curve to her lips, the barest hint of a knowing smile. Cassian felt a flicker of understanding, a dawning realization that the silence here wasn't just an absence of noise. It was something more. It was fertile, and it held secrets he was only just beginning to perceive. He closed his eyes, focusing on the feeling of the cool air on his face, the gentle rise and fall of his own chest, and listened, truly listened, to the profound, shimmering quiet. Chapter 3. Whispers of Starlight Threads. A few evenings later, as Cassian sat once more in the quiet dimness of the observation dome, Zella approached him, moving with her usual silent grace. She carried 2 steaming mugs, placing one gently into his hands. The warmth seeped into his fingers, a welcome contrast to the cool air. It was a simple herbal infusion, fragrant with chamomile, and something else, something faintly minty and calming. He inhaled the steam, feeling it soothe his senses. They sat in comfortable silence for a time, watching the familiar panorama wheel slowly overhead. The silence wasn't empty. It felt full, charged with a quiet energy. Cassian had become more attuned to it, noticing the subtle shifts, the deepening stillness that sometimes settled over the observatory like freshly fallen snow. Tonight felt particularly calm, the wind outside a mere breath against the stone. The shimmering motes he'd observed were faintly visible, dancing like tiny, distant fireflies. "You see them, don't you?" Zella's voice was soft, barely disturbing the quiet. Cassian started slightly, then nodded. "The lights? Yes. I thought perhaps my eyes were playing tricks." Zella smiled gently. "Your eyes are beginning to see what is truly here. They are not tricks. We call them the starlight threads, or rather, the beginnings of them." She took a slow sip from her mug, her gaze directed towards the faint lights. "Starlight threads?" Cassian repeated, intrigued. "They come from the stars?" "In part," Zella explained patiently. "They are born from the light of distant suns, yes, but they only take form, only become visible, when the starlight interacts with profound quiet. Not just the absence of sound, Cassian, but deep, resonant stillness. Stillness of place and stillness of mind." She gestured around the dome. "This observatory, the stone it's built from, it helps. It gathers the quiet, focuses it." She turned her gaze to him, her eyes kind. "The noise you carried with you from the city, the constant chatter of the mind, it obscures them, like trying to see stars in daylight. But as you settle, as your inner world grows calmer, you begin to perceive them." Cassian thought about the frantic pace of his former life, the endless demands, the mental clutter. It felt a world away now. He looked at the dancing motes with new understanding. "What are they?" he asked softly. "Echoes," Zella replied. "Echoes of the serenity of the cosmos. Pure starlight woven with pure silence. They hold peace." She paused, letting the words settle in the quiet air. "In moments of true stillness, when everything aligns, they coalesce further. They become threads, fine as spider silk, luminous and cool." She set her mug down on a nearby ledge. "Let us try something. Close your eyes for a moment." Cassian obeyed, the darkness behind his eyelids surprisingly welcome. "Now simply listen," Zella instructed gently. "Don't try to block thoughts, just let them drift past like clouds. Listen to the silence. Feel it around you, inside you. Notice the gentle rhythm of your own breath." Cassian focused, breathing slowly, deliberately. He listened to the almost imperceptible hum of the observatory, the faint sigh of the wind far outside, the soft beat of his own heart. He focused on the feeling of the cool air, the solid chair beneath him, the lingering warmth of the mug in his hands. He let his thoughts come and go without grasping onto them. Slowly, a deeper sense of calm began to suffuse him, like sinking into warm water. After a few minutes, Zella spoke again, her voice a mere whisper. "Now open your eyes, slowly." Cassian opened his eyes. The dome seemed subtly different. The darkness felt richer, deeper, and the motes, they were brighter now, more defined. As he watched, mesmerized, several of them seemed to drift together, elongating, forming a faint shimmering line, a thread of purest, softest light, hanging suspended in the air for a breathtaking moment before gently dissolving back into motes. It was ethereal, beautiful, and radiated an almost palpable sense of tranquility. He let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. Zella smiled. You see, stillness invites them. Chapter 4, Gathering Serenity. Inspired by Zella's gentle guidance, Cassian began to dedicate time each day specifically to cultivating inner stillness. It wasn't about forcing his mind blank, an impossible task, but rather about gently redirecting his attention away from the usual eddies of thought and worry towards the simple act of being present. He would sit, sometimes in the dome, sometimes in his quiet room, and focus on his breath, the cool inhale, the warm exhale, the slight pause in between. He noticed the feeling of the air on his skin, the solid support of the chair or bed beneath him, the subtle sounds of the observatory. Zella offered quiet encouragement. She showed him how to sit comfortably, spine straight but not stiff, shoulders relaxed. She suggested focusing on a single point, a distant star, the texture of the stone wall, the feeling of warmth in his hands. Let thoughts arise, she advised, but do not follow them down their familiar paths. Acknowledge them like birds flying overhead and gently return your focus. Patience, Cassian. Stillness is not built in a day, it is nurtured. Slowly, patiently, he practiced. Some days, his mind felt like a turbulent pond, thoughts skipping across the surface relentlessly. On other days, a measure of calm would descend more easily. He learned not to judge his progress, simply to return to the practice each time. And he began to notice a change, not just during his dedicated sessions, but throughout his days. The background hum of anxiety that had been his constant companion for so long began to quieten, replaced by a growing sense of ease. As his inner stillness deepened, so too did his perception of the starlight threads. The shimmering motes became a familiar sight in the dim light of the observatory at night. And more frequently now, especially during those moments of profound quiet Zella had described, he would witness them coalescing. Fine, luminous threads, sometimes solitary, sometimes weaving together in intricate temporary patterns, would drift through the air like strands of moonlight caught in a gentle current. They glowed with a soft, cool, light silver, pale gold, occasionally a hint of icy blue. One evening, Zella found him sitting quietly in the dome, watching the ethereal display. "They are drawn to your calm," she observed softly. "Now perhaps you are ready to interact with them." Cassian looked at her, uncertain. "Interact? How?" She smiled, gently, with openness. "Hold out your hands, palms up, as if you were receiving a gift." Cassian did so, holding his hands out into the cool air where the threads seemed thickest. "Do not grasp," Zella cautioned. "Simply be still, be open, invite them." Cassian focused on his breathing, on the feeling of receptive stillness. He watched as a particularly bright thread shimmering like liquid silver drifted closer. It hesitated, then slowly, delicately lowered itself towards his cupped palms. He felt no physical contact, no weight, no texture in the conventional sense. But as the thread settled, nestling just above his skin, a wave of profound peace washed over him. It wasn't warmth or cold, but a feeling akin to cool, clear water rinsing away weariness and worry. It was deeply calming, sinking through his skin, into his bones, soothing nerves he hadn't known were frayed. Faint, almost imperceptible sensations brushed against his mind, not thoughts or images, but echoes of vast, silent spaces, the slow turning of galaxies, the ancient, imperturbable calm of the cosmos. It lasted only a few moments before the thread dissolved, leaving behind a lingering sense of deep tranquility. Cassian slowly lowered his hands, gazing at them in wonder. He felt lighter, clearer, as if a heavy burden had been gently lifted. Zella nodded, her eyes reflecting the starlight. "That is their gift," she whispered, "the quiet song of the universe." Chapter 5. Woven Peace. Cassian settled into a new, gentle rhythm at Starfall. His days found a quiet purpose, weaving together observation of the heavens, the practice of stillness, and simple, mindful tasks around the observatory. He discovered surprising satisfaction in polishing the large, cool glass lenses of the secondary telescopes, the repetitive circular motion becoming a form of moving meditation. The scent of the lens cleaning solution, faintly alcoholic and clean, became associated with clarity, both optical and mental. He took to helping Zella tend the small rooftop garden she cultivated during the warmer months. It was a patch of resilient alpine flowers, tiny, vibrant saxifrages, hardy sedums, cushions of moss campion clinging to life in shallow beds of soil. Kneeling on the cool stone roof, carefully loosening the earth around their roots or watering them with icy mountain water, grounded him. The scent of damp earth mingled with the crisp air, and the sight of these small, tenacious blooms thriving in such an austere environment filled him with a quiet sense of wonder and resilience. His nights remained dedicated to the stars and the deepening silence. His ability to perceive and gently interact with the starlight threads grew with practice. He learned that the threads shimmered with different qualities of peace. Some felt like the cool stillness of a deep forest pool, others like the vast, airy calm of the upper atmosphere. He never tried to hold on to them, understanding they were transient gifts, echoes to be received with gratitude, not grasped. Each interaction left him feeling more centered, more serene, as if the threads were slowly mending frayed parts of his spirit, weaving peace into the very fabric of his being. He spent hours simply watching the slow, majestic dance of the constellations through the open dome. He learned their names and stories from Zella and the old star charts, not as an academic exercise, but as a way of connecting with the ancient, patient rhythm of the cosmos. The sheer scale and constancy of the universe became a profound comfort. His own anxieties, his past stresses, seemed insignificant, ephemeral when set against the backdrop of celestial eternity. The heavy weight he had carried for so long had lessened, replaced by a quiet sense of perspective. One clear, cold morning, Zella found him sitting by his window, gazing out at the sunlit peaks, a mug of tea warming his hands. A palpable aura of calm surrounded him. "The mountain air suits you, Cassian," she observed gently. He smiled, a genuine relaxed expression that reached his eyes. "It's more than the air, Zella. It's the quiet, the stars." He paused, searching for the right words. "I came here seeking escape, I think, but I found connection to the stillness." He realized the peace he had found wasn't emptiness, but fullness. It was the fullness of the present moment, the richness of sensory experience when undistracted by mental noise, the deep connection to the vast, silent universe, mirrored in the quiet depths within himself. The starlight threads were not just external phenomena. They were a reflection of the potential for serenity that existed within him, waiting to be uncovered by stillness. Whether he would eventually return to the city or choose to stay longer at the peaceful heights of Starfall remained an open question, but it no longer felt like a pressing decision burdened by anxiety. He carried the woven peace within him now. He had learned that stillness wasn't a destination to be reached, but a way of traveling. He took a slow sip of his tea, feeling its warmth spread through him, and watched the sunlight gleam on the distant snow-capped peaks, content in the quiet hum of the morning and the vast starry peace he had gathered, thread by gentle thread.